Good morning, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I do hope you all slept very well last night, and I'm quite sure that you're all very ready, very eager to begin the first of our two panel discussions that we're having today. As George mentioned, in the afternoon, we'll delve into all things related to development, but now it's all about real estate, and I must thank the panelists here joining us today. We look forward to hearing your thoughts regarding real estate, and same structure as yesterday for those of you who were not here with us yesterday. So basically, I've got a couple of questions for you, and then if you have any questions or perhaps even reflections, share your thoughts with us. I'm sure that our panelists here would love to hear from you. So please join us, be a part of our discussion as well. With that said, my questions first. So let's delve into all things related to real estate, and we can't talk about inflation. So according to the International Monetary Fund, the IMF, world inflation reached a whopping 8.8%. This was in 2022, compared with the 2021 prices. Now, although rates have been somewhat lower in this region, I thought maybe you could share your reflections on what your predictions are going forward for the year ahead. How about the only gentleman on stage today? We'll start with you.
Yeah, I think real estate market is a very sensitive impact by interest rate, all right? And during the past few years, especially the COVID-19 infection situation is everywhere, all right? The government suffer a lot, and people also suffer a lot. All right, just for your reference, compared to US, I just come back from Paris. Yeah, in the last few days, I stayed in Paris for vacation. And local people told me that, okay, their infection is almost, 50%. Wow. So a lot, Every people is so suffer. And however, in Asia, the major countries, numbers told me that Japan, CPI 3.2%, China, lower than 1%, Hong Kong 1.7, Singapore 5.5, South Korea 4.2. And Australia is the only one, the highest 7 or 8%, all right? Taiwan, only 2.3%, all right? And our interest rate right now, all right, is still pretty low compared to other countries, all right? We are, our policy rate right now is lower than 2%, all right? However, the people is really a big pressure, all right? In the past, I think in 2020, our interest rate is around 1.5 only. Right now, it's up to 2%, all right? But anyway, they feel pressure, especially for those, housing mortgage buyers, all right? Most people, young people.
Okay, Charlene, how about we hear your thoughts on this?
So to start off, I'd like to look back what happened last year. Mm-hmm. So what happened in the US, what happened in Europe, and to compare that with what's going on in Asia.
Sounds good.
Yeah, so I'll start off like that first. So inflation peaked in the middle of last year, and it was driven mainly by the services sector, in terms of wages. Not enough supply, not enough demand, putting an upward pressure on wages. So that pushed, given that there's an inflation, that pushed a lot of central banks to tighten their and have a very aggressive monetary policy. So the US Fed, as everyone knows, hiked the interest rates 9 times last year, and the market consensus is that US and Europe is heading for a mild recession, which will in turn tame the inflation and allow central banks to ease their stance. And Andrew has all the numbers here, so I'll just go into the big picture. So Asia has a very, very different picture here. We've got a low inflation rate. I think that's in part due to our tighter fiscal policies. The governments haven't been as willing to hand out cash or to have tax cuts. and to do that directly to the citizens. So that's why inflation has been a bit lower. And China recently reopened, and it was a weaker than expected economic reopening, such that inflation in China is nearly non-existent. But in Southeast Asia, I think this is a very interesting market to watch. Malaysia, in particular, stands out with a relatively low inflation rate of only 3% and a very healthy economic growth. In fact, the economic growth was surprisingly very high. It was 8.7% GDP growth, making it the highest in Asia. So that being said, no one has a crystal ball to know where the interest rates are headed. But for my prediction is for the year ahead, I don't think we can expect very aggressive tax rate, like inflation rate cuts in the US, Europe, or even Southeast Asia, unless the world sinks into a very deep economic recession, which, fingers crossed, I don't think it's very likely at this stage. So rates will likely stay at a higher rate in the near future, and we won't be seeing a return to near zero rates. But in conclusion, we're going to be dealing with a very high rate environment, less investment tailwind, which is why it is even more important for investors to choose where they invest more carefully and in which asset to invest in. And so to share a bit about my background, our company is called Jade Lamb Properties. Actually, this is our 30th year anniversary, so we're very happy to share that. So we're based in Hong Kong, and we have a very interesting, unique situation here. We have the world's most expensive, least affordable housing market in the world. We've got a political situation, different changes in the political situation. And that being said, a lot of our clients are looking to diversify risk to international properties. So our company has been, with the leadership of our managing director, who is also here today, we were actually introducing international properties to Hong Kong investors since as early as 1995. So we've been guiding our clients where to invest. Do we put all our eggs in our one basket in Hong Kong, or do we look abroad where there's more affordable properties at better rental yields? Yeah, so
All right,
that's my take on it, the interest rates.
Thank you very much for that overview. And if you're interested in property in Hong Kong or elsewhere, Charlene is who you have to look for and who you go to. Okay, Suzanne, enough about inflation. Let's talk about, you live and you're based in Macau. Right, let's talk about now the, actually Charlene mentioned this, you know, the geopolitical environment. It's filled with uncertainty at the moment, and there's a lot of tension, what with the US debt ceiling, the war in Ukraine that sent out ripple effects in all aspects. We've got the supply chain disruptions, energy price hikes, etc., etc. We can go on all day, and also post-COVID, you know, still lingering effects. Macau was shut down, casinos, everything closed.
Yeah,
right?
We really had a very tough time during COVID, and now with this geopolitical tensions and you know, these kind of strained relations, if you like, between China and the US, this is making the mainland residents very jittery, very nervous. And we saw, actually I saw on the news this morning that some spy plane in international airspace was intercepted, as it were, by a China jet. So it's very on the edge. And living in Macau, I don't know how many people know about Macau or have been to Macau. Not,
I'm missing those Portuguese egg tarts. You know?
We're very small. We're only 33 kilometers, and we're about an hour's ferry ride from Hong Kong. And we've got less than 1 million people. And we take about 30 million people in tourists, mostly from China. So, you know, Macau is a very interesting market. And I would say that this jittery nervousness within China is definitely having an impact on the real estate, because they're looking to move money out of China as an insurance, maybe a second home. You know, foreign owners are getting nervous. They don't want to invest in Macau. I mean, if you bought a property, for example, in 2003-4 for $1 million Hong Kong dollars, that would be valued by about $9 to $10 million today. So there's been a huge jump. Many of you, I'm sure, have read this incredible capital gain that Macau market saw in residential. And similarly now we're seeing in commercial. You know, there's this tension, this regional tension.
Mm-hmm.
We are being impacted in that China money is desperate to come into Macau as a kind of insurance.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, thank you for that. Let's head over to Hong Kong. What's the situation there and all these, you know, geopolitical environment? What's the impact for the situation in Hong Kong?
Yeah, so Pachari, I totally agree with Suzanne because we're actually next door neighbors, Macau, and I love going to Macau for like the casino. So, well, similarly to Macau, Hong Kong has been going through a zero COVID public health policy for the past 3 years, and only recently did we open up. So for those who don't know, Hong Kong has had the world's most draconian travel and movement restrictions, and I personally experienced a 21-day hotel quarantine on the way back. You did too.
I thought 14 days was long enough.
Yeah.
21
day.
But that's in the past now.
That's in the past, but I think it's also worth mentioning because it's also part of the geopolitical situation here. So, and also we had government quarantine facilities. We had like contact tracing, similar to Macau. So it was a difficult situation, and only recently did Hong Kong open up to the world in December, and then we finally opened up with China in February of this year. So this was one element, and the second element, as what you mentioned, Pachari, is the Ukraine war. So we've got surging energy prices. The good thing is the energy prices and food and energy are more under control now. And we've also got the US and China fighting over the semiconductors, the US chip war, which I know Andrew must be even more familiar, given that he's from Taiwan. And then we've got the escalating tensions in the South China Sea, all about Taiwan. So we've got a whirlwind of activity going on. So where do we go from here? So actually our company noticed the trend. First of all, we've got expensive Hong Kong prices. We've got a changing political situation. So actually as early as 1995, our company has been introducing international properties to our clients. Better, as I mentioned before, more affordable, higher yields, and we've been introducing Vancouver properties actually since in 1995, and we had connected officially with international developers in 2013 in Vancouver, which is where I studied. So I had a great opportunity to come back to Hong Kong, and our investors were looking into Vancouver. And then 2016, because they had a lot of tax increases in Canada, where do we go from there? And we saw Malaysia. This is a very interesting location. It's very near to Hong Kong. There's a very large Chinese ethnic population there, and actually they are a major producer of semiconductors next to Taiwan. They actually produce 13% of the global supply for semiconductors. And actually 80% of this is concentrated in Penang,
Yes.
which is a little island.
Very familiar.
I know
yes.
that you're familiar.
I went to high school in Penang, and a lot of my
I remember.
Taiwanese friends, their parents were in the semiconductor industry.
Yeah.
So very familiar.
Yeah. So a lot of these factors led us to look into Malaysia, and specifically Penang and Kuala Lumpur. Penang is they've got like a close to 60% Chinese population there, so it's very suitable for Hong Kong investors to invest there. Yeah.
Okay, so they're moving away from Hong Kong.
Yeah.
They were interested in Canada, in Vancouver
Yeah.
specifically, and now sort of shifting closer to home to Malaysia, more specifically the island of Penang, where they have very good food as well.
Delicious.
All right, over to the situation in Taiwan, please. Jeffrey, tell us.
Geopolitical, yes, Taiwan Strait is the most sensitive place. Anyhow, you mentioned semiconductor, all right? Everybody probably know that TSMC, the largest chip maker in the world, all right? The top 5 in the world, number 1 TSMC and number 3 UMC, all right? It's all come from Taiwan. Only one TSMC produced, I think it's 58% their global market share.
Taiwan is
right?
dominating.
Yeah, truly. So since 2018, I think U.S. and China trade war, technology wars, and world content of COVID pandemic, we see a significant reshoring of Taiwanese manufacture and increasing FDI, foreign direct investment, from USA and Japan, all right? So export, we see also export and private investment grew up significantly during 2019 to 2021, and expansion and acquisition of industrial asset significantly. So the number, all right, just for your reference, the total notable foreign investment total 16.3 billion US dollars, all right? The big name like Microsoft, ASML, Qualcomm, Micron, AMD, they all come to Taiwan. It's because the semiconductor supply chain, all right? So over the amount, we see that 8% from service sector, 57% from energy, wind power, and 35% for technology. Other than the investment from the foreign technology company, and Taiwan's spending potential also attract many service sectors such as the Missouri or Costco, all right? Further, the ease of COVID control, international hotel brand group, and also very active expanding in Taiwan, all right? We see Indigo open in Alishan, and the Marriott Hotel in Taichung, in Hualien, Japanese hotel like the Solaria and Grand Frieza, also very actively looking for Taiwan. So I do urge you to come to Taiwan, beautiful place.
There you go.
tourism.
Andrew, I'm going to get your name correct the second time. I was talking about my friend in semiconductors, and then yes, forgive me there. Andrew, you are here with so many statistics and numbers to share. We appreciate that. Now, the situation in Thailand, if we're talking about, I'm no guru in real estate, but this is what I've been hearing. Because of the war in Ukraine, and of course, Russia's impacted. They want to escape having to go to the front lines, so they're leaving Russia as well. And I've heard that there are many Russians here investing in Thailand, specifically Phuket. So that's interesting, and that's the geopolitical and the war having its impact here in Thailand. I'm not sure where else they're going, but to Dubai as well. Is that right, Suzanne? Okay, well then the next question is for you. Are there still investors going to Macau, though, to invest? And if there I'm sure there are still people who are interested in investing in Macau. Where are they coming from, and how do you actually attract them to go to your market?
Well, the investors, the investment funds are staying away at the moment. The investors tend to be locals who are buying a second or third property for their child. As I said, the market has changed in Macau. It's become much less international and much more Chinese. It's a safe haven for Chinese money if they can get their money out.
Okay.
Now, in 2018, there were some restrictions to cool the market in Macau, and this meant that there's a 10% additional stamp duty on the purchase price of a residential property. So that really did dampen the residential. But that is nothing compared to what we heard yesterday. In Singapore, it's 60%. Could you remember that? It's amazing. Yes. So 10% is, the mainland Chinese investors, they can suck that up. That's fine. But then there's this 2-year lock-in whereby if you buy a residential property, if you sell it within the first 2 years, 20% tax, and we got similar in Hong Kong, and the second year is a 10% tax. So it's basically asking you to buy and hold for at least 2 years to again soften the market. But these restrictions are not on commercial properties. So for international investors, shops and offices are a very attractive option for people to invest in. But the foreigners that came in 2003 and 2004 to build all these incredible casinos, they all bought properties and they all are starting now to sell out, to cash out.
All right, so that's the situation in Macau. Okay, Taiwan next. So who are the investors? Where are they coming from? Can you tell us about that, please, Andrew? And maybe some ways on how to attract them into the Taiwan market.
Okay. Yeah, I think rather than other countries, Hong Kong or Singapore, a lot of foreign investors, Taiwan is mostly dominated by our local investors.
Okay.
Right? And first of all, I think our Taiwan insurance company is real cash driven. All right. According to our regulation, 30% of their company total asset value can be used in real estate purchasing. All right. Can you imagine how big of that amount? Let me tell you. Total asset value as of 2023 is 1.13 trillion US dollars. All right. And right now, they only spend less than 10%. All right. Other than life insurance, our local occupier manufacturer owner is also very actively looking for industrial land, warehousing, logistic, data center, semiconductor things. All right. So I think that demand is real because, we are looking for. We are not real yield-driven investor type. All right. In fact, most of the investors in Taiwan, they are more pay attention on the stable income stream during the holding period, but the capital gain appreciation will be the main consideration, right? Because in our experience, over the past 2 decades, 3 decades, the price, I think is average 2 to 3 times, increased.
Okay, okay.
Small island,
Thanks for your response there. Charlene, what about the situation in Hong Kong? Where are the investors coming from?
So Hong Kong being an international financial center, our investors come from all over the world. So we've got people from Hong Kong, we've got UK, British, we've got Middle East, and actually I have some clients from Tunisia, Korea, France, and Germany. So all over the world, we've got a very international market. In recent years, to give some context again, our company was founded in 1993. We started off as a street-level shop from humble beginnings on Kane Road in the mid-levels. And it's a very prestigious district in Hong Kong, right above the central business district. So we started off as a street-level shop, focusing on buying old flats, renovating, flipping. And back then, the rental yield was 10% rental yield. And those that bought back in the day, they made a lot of money. And especially, we were guiding our clients to do that. So that's how we started off. But then, of course, we hit a few financial crises. We've got the 1997 financial crisis, 2008, and we've got a series of political, civil unrest, protest movements. So with all the different factors going on, the prices are very high in Hong Kong. We're talking about an average of 20K per square foot, Hong Kong dollar per square foot. So a lot of normal, regular Hong Kong people, or especially the young people, are looking to where can I put my money in? And if I can't even afford to buy a property in Hong Kong. Yes.
Yeah, we're only 4,500 a square foot in
There you
some
go.
cases.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, I think it's with the political situation in Macau and in Hong Kong. I think people are
That
looking
remains a
to
factor.
looking elsewhere.
Yeah, okay.
So that's why we introduced a range of like overseas properties and even actually we're really proud to say that actually we are the only Hong Kong real estate agency with our own radio programs. Originally, I was thinking. I was discussing with our team, like, oh, people still listen to radio. But actually, in Hong Kong, they do. We have an aging population. People like listening to the radio. And our channels are actually on the finance channel during the trading hours. So that's also how we attract our clients. We have a great digital interface. We've got all our touch points set up. And I'm really pleased to say that during COVID in 2021, our company was very, very fortunate to be able to bring in a UK private equity firm called Shojin Property Partners to invest in bulk in our Penang property. And so our company is doing well. We see that, and it's a Chinese saying that it's something called, there's always an opportunity in a crisis. In Cantonese, we say, ai gay. When there's a crisis, there is opportunity. So it's important to turn this poison into medicine.
Okay.
That's what we believe in.
All right. So turning the crisis into an opportunity.
Exactly.
Now, we're still talking about investors and where they're coming from. And you mentioned people from all over the world. And you also mentioned the Middle East as well. Investment coming in from the Middle East. Now, I am actually based in Doha in Qatar. And I really feel that people are living lavishly there. And even Saudi Arabia, if you're seeing the development, the vision that they have for their country, they are putting in so much money into developing the new Saudi Arabia. And it's really so fascinating. So I just wanted to know from you, you have a lot of clients from the Middle East?
Yes, we have clients from Egypt. And they in the early stages, we had a few clients who bought a bulk in our Vancouver properties.
Okay.
Bought like the whole floor and the whole side of the building. It was
Wow.
very impressive. I mean,
Right.
we were very lucky. We actually closed this deal in over 2 days. Yeah.
Okay. Well, Egypt it's actually a part of Africa, northern Africa, but yes, culturally they seem more sort of Middle Eastern or Islamic sort of. But do you have clients from places like Dubai, from places like Saudi Arabia?
Yeah, I'm interested. If anyone has
Aha,
connections,
okay.
I'd love to be connected with investors in the Middle East.
There we go.
Even
And
investors
yes,
from Taiwan.
apart
Taiwan.
from being here to receive your awards, it's all about networking as well, and hence early morning networking, breakfast, and then we're networking throughout these 2 days. So make sure you're getting your connections, because that's very, very important as well, isn't it, Susan? All right. Okay. You've already talked about the residential market in Macau. So let's now pose that question to you. How is the residential market performing now in Taiwan? And who are your buyers?
Okay. Before answer this question, let me add some comments
more
about
numbers.
the insurance company again, all right?
Please.
Because between 2014 to 2014 to 15 is our insurance company. At that time, they are actively looking for overseas investment, all right? So just during that 2 years, our local insurance company, largest one, Cathay Life, the second biggest, the Fubon Life, they spend almost 2 billion English pounds, all right, in London and other German country. Can you know the Madame Tussauds in London is owned by our life insurance company, and Euro Tower is also owned by Fubon Life, all right? So right now we heard the news that, okay, the insurance company, thanks government, is reopening the boundary restriction. So they are actively to look at the investment opportunity in overseas. So please let me know if you have any good investment, stable income property. Yes, probably we can connect.
Okay, all
And
right.
residential.
And now for the residential market question.
Okay. Residential is pretty expensive, all right, in Taipei. And also, I think because, tons of money and rich men, but traditional Chinese, that, they owe their money they like the property, all right? Not only for themselves, also for children, for second home, So the price is scaled up significantly in the past 10 years in Taiwan. But due to the government control and economy slowdown, and we see the residential pre-sale market and existing transaction dropped significantly, around 30% in first quarter, YOY, all right? And also land sale and commercial sales is also slow down as well. However, I think we're always optimistic to look at this market. It's because, due to the resources of land in Taiwan is very, very limited, like Hong Kong, all right? So I think in the near future, when the ease of the situation, I do believe that the market will coming back.
All right, sounds good. So Charlene, what about in Hong Kong? How's the residential market doing?
The residential market, the prices are still resilient. We have, with COVID, there has been a decrease in the prices.
Understandable.
And actually, I have a number. So in 2022, the prices decreased by 15.6%, and with the recent surprising weak reopening of China, the spillover effect wasn't as strong as expected. At the same time, I do think that Hong Kong is still a very like a valid place to invest in. Of course, definitely be careful which district, which area you select. So I've always been a big fan of the mid-levels district.
Okay.
It's a very prime location. The prices have been quite strong, especially for the luxury markets. So I think that Hong Kong, there's always going to be a demand to live in Hong Kong. It's an international financial center. It's a gateway. It can be seen as a gateway to China. I am still confident, but I do think it's good to not put your eggs in one basket and to diversify risk. And I'd love to have a chat with Andrea about the Taiwanese investors.
There you
even
go.
Macau investors.
Yes, I must say that we do get, having said that most of our buyers are from the mainland, we do get Hong Kong investors who want a holiday home. You don't have to pay $27,000 a square foot. You can pay $4,500, $5,000. This is Hong Kong dollars. So you can get, and the properties, particularly the older ones, are much bigger. And so they represent a good second home, holiday home option for our residential in Macau for the Hong Kong buyer.
Great advice from Charlene there. Don't put your eggs in one basket. Put it in Macau, put it in Thailand, put it here and there too. Okay, any questions from the audience? Or perhaps some reflections? Would like to share? Yes, we do have gentlemen. Possibly you asked the question yesterday as well, no?
This is the first time I've asked a question, so it relates to my industry in sales. So I'm T from ULS Cambodia, and my question refers to, apart from the usual suspects such as Singapore, Thailand, and Malaysia, are there other secondary markets, emerging market that you're also looking at? The reason I'm asking this question is that a country like in Cambodia is like a 5 to 7% GDP over the last 5 to 6 years. We have about 6 to 7 current infrastructure spending. It's not too hard to find buildings, commercial or residential, that are yielding 5 to 7% net. Yes, we've gone to the Hong Kong market, the Singapore market, we've gained some traction, but we also are aware of a lot of resistance. So for a country like Cambodia, what else must we show or demonstrate to attract the outflow of money from China, from Taiwan, from within the region, so to speak? Yeah.
Okay, so he needs some advice. How is he going to be able to attract people into Cambodia? Could anybody? Charlene, please. You just saved us.
I I think you should pick us as your real estate agency partner. That would be the first step to go, I think. And I think overall, maybe the marketing awareness about Cambodia. Cambodia's numbers are very, very sound, very interesting. Though from what I understand, I could be wrong, that during COVID, the impact was a bit strong, especially because I know that there's a lot of Chinese real estate developers developing it. I also explored Cambodia properties there. I think the numbers are very interesting, but I think it's about packaging, marketing, and also. Yeah, from what I understand, the Chinese, it's part of the One Belt, One Road, so the Chinese government has been funding a lot of infrastructure developments. I think
marketing is very, very important, isn't it? Because I'm just watching television, YouTube, and then it pops up, Saudi Arabia doing this, doing that. So, yeah, really get it out there so people can see it. So it's popping up, on social media and all these different channels. That's, directly, that's how I get my info on all these amazing properties, etc. But thank you so much. But Cambodia is the place to explore. I believe it's an emerging market, so look to Cambodia. That's me trying to help you as best as I can. Thank you very much for being
I would also highly recommend you may talk to Chairman Sun, the next panel, the chairman of the CPC, all right, one of the largest developer and contractor in Taiwan. They are quite keen to look at the Southeast countries.
There you go. Get networking, okay? And that's advice from Andrew. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Let's talk about the tools, new tools, technology now. You can't forget AI, that's definitely here. What sort of tools are there out there to engage clients? You've got the mic. So you can respond first.
It may be old hat, but virtual tours are vital, and particularly COVID-driven. If you want to buy a property and you can't get to the place where the property is, virtual tours are pretty crucial. We use drones to show, the land that's available for sale, or the house, or the property. Social media, of course, is crucial. As far as the technologies are concerned. What we are starting to use are these electronic locks. And I know it sounds very lazy, but my consultants can be in the office, and if we've got a partner agent, or if we've got a client who wants to view a property, rather than get in the car and drive 20 minutes there just to open the door, we're getting a system in place whereby there's a camera, and the client will call, or the partner agent will call, and we will be able to disengage the lock. And then there's cameras inside the property, so you can see that they're behaving within the property. They view it themselves, and then they come out and they close, lock the door, and then it's a bit lack of human touch, I would say.
Works, I think.
But I think that we'll see more of this.
Okay, thanks for sharing.
The other thing is LED screens on shops. We have these great big screens and connected to a computer, and it rotates with who the consultant is, and a little bit about the shop and the plan. So that's working for us.
And visuals are very important, isn't it?
Yeah.
Clients would definitely want to see it.
Yeah.
Charlene, over to you. New technologies that you're using, incorporating.
As I agree with Suzanne, a lot of it was COVID fueled, and actually COVID has actually pushed our company to innovate, find new ways of doing business. So actually Zoom has been a very effective tool for us. Zoom meetings with our investors in the UK, Zoom meetings, or even through VooV to Chinese investors. And actually it was pretty impressive that we were able to close a bulk of deals just through Zoom, through PowerPoint presentations, videos, and of course coupled with drone videos. So at our company in Hong Kong, we're based in Central, right next to the Yongki Roast Goose restaurant. We're right in the dead center, and our sales gallery actually has touchscreens. So you have touchscreens to go into to see the environment. So our major focus nowadays is Penang. It's like you're actually there. You can see the site. You can even see the view by floor. So I can actually scroll up. I want to see what's going on the 25th floor. Then I can scroll up, and that's the view from your flat, and it's a 360-degree view. So that has been very helpful for us. Yeah.
Okay, all right. I've come to my last question now. We've gone over time. Bearing in mind the rise of technology, Andrew, what does the future hold for real estate professionals? Last question.
Okay. This is a very big question, all right? First of all, you know, only Taipei, in next 5 years, all right, it will be the new supply commercial properties, all right, mostly office, mixed use, is around 1 million ping. We're talking ping is equivalent to 3.3 square meters, so it's almost, you know, 3.5 million square meter new supply. So you can imagine how competitive of the market, all right? So every developer is facing the big challenge. Who can really attract the quality tenants, all right? Not only to retain your existing tenant, you need to find the new tenants, all right? So this is not only talking about how good quality you build, all right? You need to think about deeper and deeper from users' perspective, all right? Everybody right now is more care about, you know, environment, social, ESG thing, right? So health building, I think is very essential, all right? So I would like to use the case called Pacific Plaza as example. All right? This is the brand new undergoing project in hub of the Taipei. And the core Pacific Plaza targets to attain 2 important certificate, LEED and World Platinum, all right? And combines property technology and management and business facility and other highlights, all right? And to meet this green goal, at core Pacific Plaza, we cultivate the plants in the balconies, all right? The whole facade is decorated by trees. And I think this is in order to offset the tenants' carbon emission target and reduce the energy consumption. And also, I think they will use a lot of the advanced technology, right, to reduce the infection risk. So we're talking about health building. People would really care about the indoor air quality, the waters, light, acoustic, hygiene, things. Yeah, so this building, the architect, Master Lee is right here. Yeah, maybe he can share us in more detail. What is the new generation building in the future?
All right, so many things to factor in going forward, right, in terms of real estate. You don't all have to answer. So perhaps maybe Suzanne, you can have the final word because we're running out. So please.
Sure, sure. I mean, it might not impact Macau, but I mean, or ambient properties, my particular business. But I would say that the building management systems, I think that's very, very important. The technology that can provide, you know, save time and money for real estate professionals. Then property management software to manage your clients better. And what I'm intrigued is and I think the UK is the leaders in this, smart contracts, whereby you can sign, my friend from also from Macau is explaining how she bought her London property completely signed, all done with passport, all done with video. It's very impressive.
So you don't have to be there physically.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So again, more COVID driven. So I see that as technology. Yeah, whether Macau will ever catch up with something like that, we would hope. But yeah, I think the thing is for all of us, if we're looking at whether it's residential or commercial property, what does our particular country have to offer investors? You know, you've got to look at the good news stories. I mean, in Macau, the bad news stories is not enough staff and you know, language and English is difficult and protectionism. You know, the real estate license is only given in Portuguese or Chinese. You know, it's very, very frustrating. But the good news is great food, UNESCO buildings, you know, state-of-the-art hotels and casinos. You know, at one stage we were taking in 5 times as much casino revenue as Las Vegas. It's incredible, you know. We've only got 40, what was it? I think we've got 43,000 hotel rooms, and Las Vegas has got 150,000, you know, so we've got plenty of room for building hotels. There's a lot to offer, and there's a lot going on in Macau. So we have to look for the good news stories in promoting our respective countries.
For sure. Stay positive, think positive. Plus, you can always hop off to Disneyland and come back. Right? And, you know, I feel bad not giving Charlene time to speak and share, because we value what you think as well. So please tell us your thoughts.
For me, the real estate industry is always about interpersonal relationships. So I know with the rise in technology and with the recent COVID situation, I think it's easy to feel alienated in this world. So I think going back to the basics, real estate is about people and relationships. So I think it's important to use technology to help that. How do we communicate with our clients? How do we reach our clients? How do we maintain those relationships? So I think it's, I won't go into it too detail, but I think it's important to focus on people and how do we interact with each other, and how do we instead of, I know it's all about investment, it's all about these things, but at the end of the day, we're people, and how do we interact with each other? I think and how do we treat each other? I think that's the most important. Yeah.
Great discussion. Appreciate it so much. I'm sure the audience do too. A big round of applause, please, because this is going to wrap up our talk on real estate. Mr. Andrew Liu, Managing Director of Colliers Taiwan, Suzanne Watkinson, Founder and Managing Director of Ambiente Properties, and of course Charlene Ng, General Manager, Jade Land Properties HK Limited. Once again, thank you.